effect hits you like a wave, a fresh new spin on the news you crave. Turn the page and you see the light, a different angle that feels so right. No more waiting for the truth to show. Every story starts to glow. Daily news in a way you didn't know. It's the Taz effect that steals the show. Open your mind, let the colors flow. Daily news in a way you didn't know.
Well, I am here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me here for the Jesus Christ, what is going on? Okay, there we go. It everything has a mind of its own today. Well, hey y'all, hey. Welcome to the Taz Effect Daily News in a way you did not know you could use for those listening in over the radio airwaves at gcpr.live. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in, and for everyone else listening and watching from all around the social media sphere. Hey, how you doing? So glad you could stop through. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's jump right in. Coming out of Tennessee, from the TennesseeLookout.com, Tennessee House Speaker suspends all Dems from committees, citing decorum violation. Minority Leader says it's likely being stabbed in the back. Tennessee Republican House Speaker is punishing Democrats for participating in a chaotic end to the special session lawmakers used to redraw congressional maps to bolster a GOP candidate in the midterm election. House Speaker Cameron Sexton sent a letter Tuesday to House Minority Leader Karen Camper notifying her that Democratic caucus members will be removed from all standing committees and subcommittees except in cases where their membership is required by House rules. Letters to individual members told them to contact Camper for information. All 24 House Democrats are barred, including Representatives Justin Jones of Nashville and Justin Pearson of Memphis, a congressional candidate. They both were ousted, then reinstated after vocal Democratic pushback in 2023 following a House chamber protest over gun laws in the wake of the Covenant School shooting that claimed the lives of 6 people, including 3 children. The Crossville Republican cited the incident in which House Democrats gathered at the front of the chamber as Republicans voted to redistrict the state's congressional map last week and locked arms in a show of solidarity against the GOP. Constitutionally approved protest. It's wiggity 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 whack Wednesday. There's nothing whack about there's a lot whack about a Wednesday. Similarly, Senate Speaker Randy McNally is considering possible action against 6 Senate Democrats who locked arms in the well at the end of their session in a blatant violation of civility and decorum, according to spokesperson Adam Kleinheider. Sexton said in his letter that the House's Democrats, who all voted against the redistricting map, blocked aisles, instigated and encouraged disruption in coordination with paid protesters and people in the gallery. distributed earplugs to members, and used prohibited props and noisemakers on the House floor, showing a lack of respect towards members trying to speak on legislation and displayed flagrant disregard for the House's permanent rules of order. Sexton provided no received payments. Outside the chamber, hundreds of people protested, shouting "shame" and "hands off Memphis." But we're not going to talk about the sex that allegedly occurred at the State House. We're not going to talk about the drug addiction that is allegedly rampant there. We're not going to talk about the theft of public funds that allegedly occurred there. No, we're going to make a big kerfluffle about the black folks speaking up, because we can say Democrats all day long. We're upset about the black folks. That's why we're saying, oh, this was against decorum. Now, once again, I told you all last week, you don't have to litigate or legislate to oppress who the systems were already built for. But, and like I said, the end game has nothing to do with the already marginalized. It has nothing to do with the already oppressed. They're looking for a constitutional Congress, and they are looking for a suitable constitutional Congress, and they've been telling you all along what they want. And it don't have nothing to do with those of us dripping in melanin. It has nothing to do with us. White women. They're about to revoke your right to vote. They want to go back to household votes. And see, when we had household votes, everybody talks about the rule of white men having to own property. Baby, they wheedled that down even more. There was a point in time where multiple states, not only did you have to be a property owner, be white, be of a certain age, but you also, in many states, had to take a test along the lines of religious basis, meaning you had to prove that you were Christian. Sound familiar according to recent rhetoric? And white and male and a landowner. So it's going to be even more egregious when it comes to household votes, because every household isn't going to be considered a household anymore. Hey, Goddess May. Hey, Annabelle. Hey, Jess. Because I want you to think back when they originally wrote all this and they were instigating all of this voter suppression, apartment buildings weren't a thing. Condos weren't a thing. Duplexes weren't a thing. Now, there are certain places where, yes, you can own an apartment. Technically, I'll make it any. We're not going to place them into. But how many people do? And you also have to realize the parameters of what was considered property ownership also changed. And given that they changed the parameters of chattel slavery, they could easily change the parameters of ownership, meaning ownership outright, where the only thing left to pay are your property taxes. And you really need to look into other countries and really give some pushback on the federal government as to why we have perpetual forever property taxes. Because if you can own after a certain period of time the domicile on top of the land, how come you can't own the land when the government can outright own land? But y'all not ready for that conversation. Yeah. They're not so worried about us. They're not so worried. They're not so much worried about us. What did Michael Jackson say? They don't really care about us in more ways than one. In more ways than one. I told you all that there's a little scuttlebutt. There's a little word on the curb stating that Trump has made it known that he is becoming bored with the war in Iran. But I think far too many people also forgot that they're trying to recruit air traffic controllers and others from the world of gaming. And they're going to continue to use gaming, Lego movie-esque type of thing, to try to sway the thought process of the masses. And if you think I'm reaching, I never reach. Take a look. We'll discuss it further.
Trump decided to call his war in Iran Operation Epic Fury, which is hilarious in its own right. But behold, Operation Epic Furious. Straight to hell, straight as in Strait of Hormuz. This is a real, fully functioning, old school arcade game, a couple of them, stationed at the War Memorial in Washington, D.C. You can go see them there. They're out in public. They work. You can play them. And if you're not in DC, you can still take a crack at this thing online. Secret Handshake made an online version of this video game so you can play at home. Basic ideas in the game, you play as if you are President Trump deciding to invade Iran. You start the game behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and your options then are either to order a Diet Coke or to invade Iran. You can order as many Diet Cokes as you want. They just pile up there on the desk, one after another. Then you might see the other thing, see the fireplace in the Oval Office. If you walk up over to the fireplace, you can start setting Epstein files on fire. Every time you throw one of the Epstein files into the flames, it tells you how many of them are still left to burn. So you might be there a while doing that one by one. Once you stop ordering Diet Cokes and burning Epstein files, you can then leave the White House by helicopter to go fight bad guys in Iran. Bad guys like this low-flow showerhead. If you do good fighting, you can earn oil and also Truth Social posts written on rolls of toilet paper. But if you actually want to post the Truth Social posts, you have to find the secret golden toilet inside the military base and then flush the rolls of toilet paper down the drain. That's not the end. The only way to end the game is to go back to the White House and see Melania. And the first thing she says to you when you see her is, "I was never on the Epstein jet." She will then ask you if you have burned all the Epstein files. You can tell her you are working on it, or you can ask to hold her hand. In which case, game over. I'm terrible at video games. I spent way too much time with this today. I got to tell you, at one point, J.D. Vance pops up in Iran and tells Trump that he has been taking all his cognitive tests for him, boss. And I laughed out loud and messed up the whole game and had to start over. Anyway, we will post the link on mattoblog.com if you want to try it out. Operation Epic Furious. There are live arcade games of this at the War Memorial in Washington, D.C. right now, and you can play it online. This is from the folks at Secret Handshake. We do not know who they are, but honestly, long may they wave.
3 free arcade games mocking Operation Epic Fury were installed on the National Mall on Monday by the Secret Handshake Art Group, which has been responsible for several other installations parodying staple moments in the Trump administration. The new effort to elicit public response from guerrilla art was introduced as a video game entitled Operation Epic Furious Straight to Hell. The game allows users to engage in a mock up of the Iran war in real time by stocking up on oil barrels and completing missions assigned by administration officials, including Vice President Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and FBI Director Kash Patel. However, no shooting or guns are included in the virtual simulation due to the creator's intent to keep the game free from violence. However, fiery explosions can be seen on the pixelated screen. The ultimate objective of the game is to collect enough Truth Social posts to open the Strait of Hormuz. At the start of the game, a prompt reads, "Introducing a high-octane, flag-waving, boots-on-the-ground simulator where freedom isn't debated. It's deployed." Hey, Annabelle. Hey, DJ. It continues. No briefings, no hesitation, just pure pixelated patriotism. Strap in and play hard because the game may never end. It's available both online and at the National Mall. The digital version has been downloaded over 14,000 times as of Monday, according to the Washington Post. This is And I know so many people, the lessons to be learned at this point in history are flying easily over people's heads. This should go to show you that when you remove diversity, when you make stupidity the name of the game, you miss so many opportunities. Because think about the fact that more than likely the people doing this used to work for the federal government, used to be on the other side. The group responsible for the arcade game also installed a golden toilet statue and another monument of President Trump and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, mocking an alleged friendship between the two, which the president has denied. It's not an alleged friendship, it's a confirmed friendship. They both confirmed it over the year. Just because now they want to pretend, well, not they, only one of them is alive still and questioning how that's still possible, is now trying to deny it. No. Trump has also not been criminally charged for any wrongdoing associated with the deceased financier. Yet the artwork has drawn public commentary and viral social media posts. The secret handshake group has received approval for the fixtures placed throughout the nation's capital by the National Park Service, though an intermediary, while those involved in the dealings have remained anonymous. Here's the thing: the National Park Service is absolutely going to greenlight anything that is anti-Trump. Trump is continuously cutting their budgets. Trump had waste, okay, hundreds-year-old waste from the demolition of the East Wing and dumped it off in their domain. So yeah, don't nobody give a damn. Yes, there is a full video about Alex Murdaugh and his conviction. He is facing another trial for the murders. He will not be getting out anytime soon anyway because he's still serving over 20 years for financial crimes. I knew that the conviction was going to be overturned because of the clerk that severely interfered for the sake of selling a book. Mm-hmm. And real quick, again, far too many of you all have failed an open book test. At least 3 to 4 times a month. I tell y'all, consuming my content is not for the short of attention span. Even if you have to pause it, save, favorite it, come back to it later, write down the moment, you need to watch it all the way through. A short video, not one person until this morning when I pointed out what is at the end of the video, watched the video all the way through. So many jumped to comment and didn't even know why they were supposed to be mad. Do not make fun of Trump supporters or Jill Stein supporters until you can get it together yourself. Because I keep telling y'all, part of the reason why we are where we are is so many people want to point fingers at each and everybody else. Nobody wants to learn anything, and nobody wants to sit still long enough to actually see something through. You want everything so quick, fast, and in a hurry, and then you're getting pissed off that quick, fast, and in a hurry isn't beneficial. Now, we do have some Kristi Noem news. Noem leaves waterfront Coast Guard home that 4-star admiral got 3 hours to vacate, according to a report. Former Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem no longer lives at the waterfront Coast Guard home that once housed a four-star admiral who was fired by President Donald Trump Sr. and evicted from her home with only 3 hours to vacate before Noam got to live in the house instead. Noam left her digs after Trump fired her from DHS in March and named her special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, a Western Hemisphere security initiative, but it took her more than 2 months to make the move, MS Now producer Steve Bannon reported on Tuesday. Noam was among several Trump cabinet members, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who have taken over residences normally used for high-ranking military officers, Bannon noted. Her move into the Coast Guard home displaced Admiral Linda Fagan, the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard and the first woman to lead a branch of the U.S. military, a fact that apparently meant very little to the Republican White House, Bannon said. Making matters worse, the Wall Street Journal reported a few weeks ago that Noam remained in the waterfront Coast Guard home for a month after her ouster from the Department of Homeland Security, Bannon wrote. It took a while, but the Rachel Maddow show confirmed that Noam finally has exited Coast Guard housing, clearing the way for the current Coast Guard Commandant, Admiral Kevin Lundy, to move in, Bannon added. Whether Noam has moved into other government housing remains open to question. Yes, Shield of America. We can tell what Trump likes to watch on the boob tube. On honest the boob tube. We can definitely tell what he likes to watch. Now, for those that are not aware, if you believe that this whole ICE push, immigration push is for the sake of deportation, I have some swampland in the middle of Antarctica to sell to you. Yes, I know what I said. Are you catching on to it? Because if that was the name of the game, they wouldn't be looking for budgetary funds in order to build more detention centers. There wouldn't be so many centers right now pulling double duty. You're not certain of the facilities and what I'm talking about in my link tree. You can go to Linktree /CincyTaz, CINCITAZ as in zebra, and you can go. I have it broken down into categories because it's about reinstating a new iteration of enslavement. But one facility that's been, we're going to close it down, we're going to keep it open. Nope, we're going to close it down, we're going to keep it open. Nope, we're going to close it down, we're going to keep it open. This is what we've been doing, okay? And this is a facility whose beginnings were illegal. The whole order of operations was not proper at all. Alligator Alcatraz, or as I refer to it as Alligator Auschwitz, because the hell it is. The controversial Florida migrant detention facility expected to close, and this is according to sources. Florida is expected to wind down its Alligator Auschwitz migrant detention facility sometime this summer, according to a source familiar with the planning. Keep in mind, this place has been shut down previously before, very temporarily. I will believe it after a consecutive 13 months of it being shut down. Vendors at the site were told Tuesday that detainees will be removed by the start of June and the center will be dismantled in the following weeks. 3 people familiar with the facility's operation told the New York Times. I want you to think about the fact that they didn't say that the facility will be demolished, will be repurposed, will just be abandoned. They said dismantled. I want you to think. Close your eyes and visualize what it means to dismantle a facility. How does one dismantle a facility? You dismantle something meant to be temporary. And I want you to think about the fact that they never intended this to be temporary. And the fact that they have vendors there, and there have been multiple reports of not enough food, molded food, all sorts of things. And yes, I know vendors can be more than food, but to have vendors on site and that is occurring, put them smart particles to work. Okay. WFOR reported similar details about notices given to state contractors who run the facility, citing 4 sources familiar with the announcement. Though the facility, embedded deep in the Florida Everglades, has been touted by Republicans as a valuable tool in President Donald Trump Sr.'s immigration crackdown, the closure follows nearly a year of legal challenges, mounting operational costs, and allegations of inhumane conditions. Yeah, because there's no forethought from this regime. It's like going out to breakfast with somebody and they don't think past ordering their meal. Last week, the Times reported Florida was in talks with the Trump administration about shutting down the facility, which has cost the state millions of dollars to run, you think? Governor Ron DeSantis acknowledged the talks during remarks last week and said the facility was always intended to be temporary. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. And after multiple very expensive publicity stunts, Ron DeSantis, you're still not favorable, and nobody wants to vote for you for president. Okay, you little miniature Disney adult, you little half pint goofy. If we shut the lights out tomorrow, we will be able to say it served its purpose, DeSantis said Thursday. What was its purpose? To torture people? To be an eyesore? To put people in one location to essentially be a pack of Tic Tacs for alligators and crocodiles? We asked about reports that Alligator Auschwitz will shut down. DeSantis's office late Tuesday referred CNN to the Florida Division of Emergency Management, which oversees the facility. Why, why is the Florida Division of Emergency Management overseeing this facility? Let me repeat that. Why is the Florida Division of Emergency Management overseeing this facility? A spokesperson for the Division of Emergency Management reiterated DeSantis's comment from last week and added, if federal operational needs evolve and the Department of Homeland Security implements alternative plans for the South Florida detention facility, the state will pivot accordingly. The Department of Homeland Security said in a statement to CNN on Tuesday, and it reports that DHS is pressuring the state to cease operations at Alcatraz are false. Florida continues to be a vulnerable. Woo, that was a slip. Keep the thoughts inside your head. Let's try that again. Florida continues to be a valuable partner in advancing President Trump's immigration agenda, and DHS appreciates their support. DHS continuously evaluates detention needs and requirements to ensure they meet the latest operational requirements, the agency said. The lies they tell. Toddlers are regressing. Children are being rushed to the hospital. Folks are dying in custody. Infections are popping up like weeds in a garden. What do you know we can see you, right? Y'all sitting there looking like two big old bunnies. It is not immediately clear where the detainees will be taken. The site held nearly 1,400 people as of early April, according to ICE data. DeSantis indicated last week that if the program was shuttered, detainees may be placed in DHS facilities and the small airport that has housed Alligator Alcatraz would return to normal operations. A small airport, a source of employment and revenue, you shut down for the sake of trying to be the most well-known cosplayer of Hitler. Like, what? I guess. I guess. No. Before we get into this next story, I just really need to set y'all up to deal with the ego and the lie capabilities that is Trump.
The story of that time, Donnie's mom was mugged, and Donnie made it all about himself with lies. On October 31st, 1991, Donnie's mother, Mary, was mugged by a teenager who stole her pocketbook. She suffered a brain hemorrhage and broken ribs. Lawrence Herbert, a passerby, chased down that attacker, and the Trump family is very grateful. They even helped keep Herbert's house from foreclosing. Donnie himself hosts a dinner in his honor, and the next day the dinner gets covered in the news, praising Herbert. If you know anything about Donnie, news of someone else getting praise always upsets him, and in this case, he became extremely jealous. The next Monday, a mysterious man calls up multiple newspapers and claims that Donald Trump saved a man's life by fighting off a mugger carrying a baseball bat while on his way to a Paula Abdul concert. The story goes that Donnie somehow saw the mugging taking place, forced his driver to stop, leapt out of the limo, pushed his way through a crowd of onlookers, and Donnie's imposing presence alone scared the mugger off. There's no police report for this story, and two witnesses, one a mysterious man who is likely Trump himself calling in a tip, and a woman who later came forward and told a very different story. A young lady named Kathleen Romeo says this event did actually happen. A man was actually attacked. The attacker quickly ran away, and then Trump pulled up a few minutes later and asked what the crowd was gathered about. That's it. The end. But Donnie was so upset someone else was getting praise for stopping a mugging, he had to plant a story of himself being a big brave boy. Anyway, Donnie is a fucking liar with no emotional stability, and it's fucking crazy he's in charge of the nation. Good luck, everyone. 985 days left.
I wanted you to have that story firmly placed in your head before we move on to the next thing. Because in order to gain favor with Trump and to move into his inner circle and have any type of longevity there, outside of being melanoma, melanoma Trump, that is, you have to be willing to lie. Okay, keep that in mind as to why Kristi Noem lied the way she did with that grander. Pam Bondi lied the way that she did with that. Like they would go over the top. Tulsi Gabbard tends to be a little bit more careful with her lying, but you know she belongs to a lying ass cult. She got a little bit more practice behind it. Hey, Mrs. Lyles. Now, I want you to pay attention to this clip, and then we're going to immediately go into an article featuring Mike Johnson. It'll all tie together here in a second.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. That's the only thing that motivates.
Real quick, shout out to the bonus twin, Inferno, today. Twinsies! Getting our Dalmatian on. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. No pictures, no pic. Okay. Sorry, Harley Pup. My bad. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Sit down, girlie. I'm sorry. Okay. I said I'm sorry. Got a little beside myself. You gonna quit beating me up. Stop. Quit. Now. Stop. Jeez, oh Pete. Between you and chaos, girlie can't get no kind of work done. Proud Confederate Mike Johnson faces backlash claiming that the Supreme Court blocked racism. Mike Johnson has been getting it all day because he also claimed that Trump does care about the financial standing of American citizens, after Trump clearly said he didn't. But while also immersed in that, he decided to, as red as a beet in the hot, hot sun, Harley is innocent. Okay. There. Stop. Quit. Okay, first of all, calm down because I'll be getting distracted by you. And I'd rather go in there and snuggle up with you than get work done. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Now, her, on the other hand, she's just a bully. Ma'am. Yeah, you knocked it all over. Pick it up while I finish working. House Speaker Mike Johnson faced backlash after claiming the U.S. Supreme Court would strike down the parts of the Voting Rights Act that protected districts with black U.S. representatives. During a Wednesday interview with Fox News, host Brian Kilmeade asked Johnson how much easier it would be to retain the House majority without majority black districts. It was a big thing, and the court came out rightfully and said we had an unconstitutional map in Louisiana, and by extension, these other states that had drawn lines based on race, Johnson explained, and they reaffirmed a very important principle. Nobody, no American citizens, should be dismantled against based on color of their skin, and that's what they did. Yeah, they're redistricting based on color. When you draw for one race, you leave out others, and vice versa, he added. So it's the right result. They forget that we can openly be educated. Now, I've heard a lot of people comparing what's going on right now in 2026 to Reconstruction, to Jim Crow. I'm going to need y'all to stop. I'm going to need y'all to stop. I'm going to need y'all to stop hearing about certain points in history, and then every time something gets rolled back or there's any type of inconvenience, you want to equate it to that point in history. It's not. We are not in Jim Crow 2.0, at least not yet. You don't have to carry around papers. We don't have black codes. The vagrancy laws are not race-based currently. That could change. You have the ability to own your home, bear arms, petition, speak up, be more than a domestic. That has nothing to do with me. Well, fine. I'll dream about cuddling up to some damn body else. Shit. As much as you poke fun of racists for cosplaying oppression, y'all are doing the same damn thing. You're cosplaying the worst parts of history for marginalized and melanated people, but you don't want to get yourself out of it. You don't want to assist in moving past it. So if we're living in Jim Crow, then that means that that's what you've aspired to do your whole damn life. Because if that's the case, you need to go get some orishas. So you can call upon the ancestors and you can personally apologize to them that they suffered and sacrificed for you to want to have to walk in the street and not be able to walk on the sidewalk because the white folks want it for the day. You want to go back to it being legislated that you got to cover your hair. You wanted to go back to, and this is what they're pushing for, white women to go back and having their traditional roles. And see, having their traditional roles means that black women are legislated, aka forced to work in white women's homes, taking care of their kids, taking care of their husbands, if you know, you know, and cooking and cleaning for them. You're fear mongering yourself. You're sitting here claiming that these things are all done with you in mind. I'm going to need to remind y'all, white people don't care about us that much. White people care about us enough to force us to keep them alive. White people think about white people more than anybody else, and they think about fellow white people because they can't stand fellow white people. Let me remind you that the hierarchy of race was never intended for a race of people to sit on top of it. It was intended for a singular person to sit on top of it. This is why even within the administration, they're still backbiting, they're still infighting. They are not up there to co-reign together. They are not trying to be co-rulers. They're not trying to have collaborative power. I know we love the great heroic story of how World War II ended. We would still be in a perpetual World War II if folks didn't want the power that Hitler had. Because you can't, and before you give me pushback, you can't have countries upon countries upon countries coming together going, you know what, that's a good idea. He's right about that. And they protecting each other all the time. And then all of a sudden somebody can get, come on now. It all boils down to, oh, they sending him gifts. They calling him what? He got fan club. Man, I should have a fan club. Ooh. Man, my speech is better than he is. And my suit's tailored. His suits ain't even tailored. And I mean, it's that y'all think that things are so deep and so philosophical. Have you forgotten human nature? We decided to look at things and put ages on it and equate levels of maturity to it and define what maturity is. We are perpetually children that just get bigger and gain wrinkles and gray hair. That's why I laugh when people go, "You're too old to be acting like that." Says who? Says who? Trying to act like you don't want to have fun and trying to act like you're so serious and nothing bothers you all the time is the unnatural part. Huh? It's Wisdom Wednesday, baby. We gonna get into some wisdom today. Yeah, we are. They're not sitting around thinking about us. They ain't worried about us in the least. Now, before conservative clones get out here and try to take credit for some stuff, you good? Slow down. You drank the water too fast. Yeah, it went down the wrong way. Calm down. Sit down. Yes, sit. Thank you. Before conservative clones get out here and try to take credit for this and attach it to Trump, let's get into it. It's good news. It is. Overdose deaths fall for the third straight year. This is according to data coming from the CDC. Once again, third straight year, not third straight day, not third straight week, not third straight month, third straight year. How long has Trump been in office, people? Yes. Juan singular infamous year. I know it feels like 6-11 years. It's like the longest century of our lives. But about 70,000 Americans died of drug overdoses last year, about 14% fewer than the previous year, according to preliminary government data. It was the third straight annual drop, making it the longest decline in decades, according to federal data released Wednesday. The 2025 total is about the same as the tally in 2019 before the COVID-19 pandemic. Declines were seen across a number of drug types, including fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine. They ain't been to Nantucket yet. Don't go to Nantucket with the bucket. Okay, they ain't been to. Declines were seen across a number of drug types, including fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamines. Overdose death fell in the vast majority of states, although 7 saw at least slight increases, including jumps of 10% or more in Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. The preliminary data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention showed. I know y'all better stick Nantucket on there. Nantucket is the place for you if you want to get high through and through. They got everything that you could need. I'm cautiously optimistic that this represents really a fundamental change in the arc of the overdose crisis, said Brandon Marshall, a Brown University researcher who studies overdose trends. I think people are becoming more educated. People are gaining increased community. People are not feeling so isolated, and people are realizing they're not the only ones going through things, and they are beginning to, brick by brick, form their own communities of support. I heard human nature. You mean Michael Jackson? No. Looking out across the Coquiana. No. So yeah. So we do have that. We got some good news. We got some bad news too. We got some bad news. Feds officially cancel conservation rule for public lands. The United States Bureau of Land Management on Monday formally canceled the so called public land rule, which required the agency to consider conservation and development equally in land use decisions for millions of acres across the West. The BLM, yes, Bureau of Land Management is the OG BLM. Cool your tits. Nope, it does not count. Listen. So the BLM published a notice Monday in the Federal Register finalizing its elimination of the 2024 rule, officially known as the Conservation and Landscape Health Rule. The agency first announced it was considering eliminating the rule in September. The Biden era rule provided guidance for ensuring conservation received due consideration along with mining, timber, grazing, recreation, and other uses on public lands. It also allowed the BLM to issue leases specifically for conservation, though the agency never used any. The BLM's notice Monday said officials had received and responded to nearly 140,000 public comments in response to the proposal. Ultimately, officials said eliminating the 2024 rule was necessary because it threatened to restrict productive use of public lands and introduce uncertainty and unnecessary burdens in planning and permitting. I don't know how many times we can watch the repercussions of us not properly taking care of the earth before we get it. I guess when everybody's burning up. I guess when you are just slow roasting, literally. Then you'll be like, maybe we did need some rules and regulations. Maybe we did. Maybe just a little bit. Humans are stupid. Humans encased in the borders of the United States are dumb as. Before you go, Taz, I'm tired of you calling us stupid. Stop being stupid. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Stop being stupid. Like every test that we have been taking for the past 150 years at least, has been open book with extra notes on the side and answers written on the whiteboard, the chalkboard, the window, the wall, the floor, the desk, your forehead, your arm, your forearm, your thigh, the back of your neighbor's neck, the back of your neighbor, the side of your neighbor. It's being said to you over loudspeaker. It's ingrained in the music, and you still work overtime to fail. And got the nerve to look at somebody else and go, you must be stupid. You didn't get no learning nowhere. You all learned at the same damn place. Dumb F's are us. That's where. Hey, Nana J. Yep, that's canceled and Juneteenth. Appeals court temporary blocks Trump's $83 million payment in E. Jean Carroll case. For somebody who claims to be so rolling in the dough, Trump does a lot to avoid paying things. Now, two things can be true at once. Oh, so much, Nana J. Two things can be true at once. Do the wealthy, especially those that come from old money, try to get extensions on stuff? Yes. Do they have a problem paying for necessities? Absolutely. They will try to negotiate you down to damn near free. Okay. They love to play a game as guess how much I paid for this, because what they want to go for what they think is a deal. It's not really a deal, but you can't really tell them nothing. Okay. And a lot of times they've been overcharged. Will they spend on some stuff they don't need that's pretty frivolous? And yeah. Is that what Trump is trying to do? No, Trump doesn't have any liquidity. We really don't know how much Trump is worth because Trump has mastered the art of lying and getting other people to lie about his net worth. We learned in the Manhattan fraud trial how he was padding the books for so many years in order to get bank loans. My thing is, and this is why I say economy pisses me off, because it really does not make sense when you really truly look at it. And I know there are some economists out there that want to get philosophical with me. Go screw yourself. Okay. You know, your career field makes no damn sense. It's asinine as hell. And you have to fight logic and reality every damn day in order to be good at it. It is what it is. Okay. There are discrepancies in everything all of us do, because everything is going to be flawed, because we are human. But I digress. Because here's the thing. If you want to maximize profitability, you should not start off with maximized debt. And if you're going to take out multiple loans to start anything, you're starting off with maximized debt. But yet they tell the poors and the midline whores, well, just get the money, stack up your money and do it from there, which is right. That is the right thing to do, because you don't know if your business is going to take off. So if you use $50, $100, do a little tester, and then you go from there, and then you build up the capital according to the demand. So, you're looking at things with a clear head. You're doing things correctly. You're building up, a loyal following, whatever. But no, they'll go $1 million, $2 million loan. And yeah, for what? You're perpetually in debt. Like, what is the point of getting yourself to wealth status, but you can't never retire? Because that's when y'all are looking at some of these people and you're like, oh, they're so wealthy. Why are they still work? Because they don't have a choice. They're wealthy on paper. That debt ratio is high as hell. High as hell, because they like to push things off. When you push things off, that interest rate don't stop. Okay, them creditors are not going to pause the interest rate. They're not going to change. They're not going to pause the late fees, because that's where they make their money. Nobody wants to break even on loaning money. Think about it. If we loaned money, how institutions loan money, people wouldn't be talking about our funky little $20. Absolutely, Annabelle. Empty debt. So A federal appeals court this week agreed President Trump Sr. can continue holding off paying writer E. Jean Carroll for her $83.3 million defamation judgment until the Supreme Court decides if it will get involved. Trump Sr. is heading to the justices after the fall U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit rejected his presidential immunity claims in an effort to avoid paying the sum late last month. I want y'all to think back. We talked on it one Fun News Friday. A young lady over on TikTok that was sued because of an affair that she had with her now husband, and she lost the case and she has to pay money. Well, she thought, oh, I have to keep pushing it back, pushing it. Yeah, she's facing jail time because she never made a payment. And after a certain amount of racking up fees and interest, they will come lock you up. I think too many people forgot the new parameters of enslavement in the United States. It's attached to debt. And they don't care who you are when that debt get too high. Did y'all forget about Mr. Nelson when they came and auctioned off all his stuff? Your debt too high. You white, and you one of them good white ones. Okay, you sing the music that the white folks like. You got the white folks look. They can tell people, he got it out the mud. Look at American dream. Picked himself up out the bootstraps. He just like a little of the devil's lettuce, but we let that slide because that's winning. Say, well, Wesley Snipes, you let that debt run up too hot, they coming to get you. They coming to get you. Okay, they gonna get that money back work wise. Okay, they gonna make their profit 20 times over off your back. Okay. So yeah. And people are like, well, why isn't E. Jean Carroll fighting harder? Why would you? If he paid her out right now versus late fees, interest, all of that continue to accrue while he's pushing it out, how do you think she will fare? For a country with such large gambling addictions, especially when it comes to casinos, you would think people would have better patience. Hey, Dragon. It is official. The Senate has confirmed Kevin Warsh as the next Fed chair. He will be the one to replace Jerome Powell. The Senate has confirmed former finance executive and former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh as the U.S. Central Bank's new chair on May 13th, elevating him to a role that will make him one of the most influential economic policymakers in the world. The Senate voted 54 to 45 to confirm President Donald Trump Sr.'s nominee, Senator John Fetterman, a Democrat out of Pennsylvania, was the only Democrat to join Republicans voting in favor of Warsh's nomination. Nobody is shocked by Fetterman. And can y'all stop trying to make excuses for Fetterman? He's a dino, Democrat in name only. And he knew where he was running out of and the things that he had going on. If he slapped Democrat on him, people would forget about his racism and roll with him. And he knew that he could still have an alliance and allegiance to the GOP. The GOP is not courting him, as they tried to put out a story a couple weeks ago. They don't need to court him. He's already there. But we discussed that previously. In a similarly split vote, the Senate confirmed Warsh to a new 14-year term on the Fed Board of Governors the day prior. Warsh's confirmation comes amid concerns about the central bank's independence, given Trump's consistent browbeating of his former nominee and soon-to-be former Fed Chair Jerome Powell, as well as legal cases that have raised further questions about the institution's autonomy from politics. Warsh, 56, previously served on the Fed's Board of Governors from 2006 to 2011 and will rejoin the central bank at a time when federal open market committee members are somewhat divided on the best path forward for rates. They're not divided regarding the best path forward for rates. They're divided on the best path forward to not ruffling the feathers of a man who can't count to 5 without somebody else counting for him. I said what I said. If you're offended by that, this ain't the place for you. Rising inflation stemming from the Iran war and low higher environment in the job market outside certain sectors like healthcare pose risk to both sides of the Fed's mission, keeping prices stable and employment high. Let me explain something to y'all. If y'all don't get a handle on this hantavirus right now, you ain't gonna be able to force people to work in healthcare. They're gonna be walking out in droves. They do not want to be deemed essential again. They don't want to go through that. There are people that are still trying to uh receive because they still haven't received those bonuses, that hazard pay, that hazmat pay that they were promised. They're not going to do it again. And they've said it publicly with their whole chest in front of every camera. They're not going to do it again. Driving consensus on the rate setting committee will be on Warsh's goals as chair, though he seems less concerned about inflation persistence than many current Fed officials, according to Christian Floro, a market strategist at Principal Asset Management. He said Warsh appears more supportive of lower rates today than markets may remember him being in the years following the 2008 financial crisis, adding his focus on AI-driven productivity gains and calls for a new inflation framework suggests he may be more open to looking through temporary price shocks. The perception challenge for Wash may prove just as important as the policy challenge, Floro said in a note to USA Today, because the administration has been vocal about wanting lower rates. Any dovish pivot risk intensifying scrutiny around Fed independence. Throughout the confirmation hearing, April 21st, Warsh said he believes central bank independence is important, but added it has to be earned, suggesting that it has fallen short in doing so in recent years. He said the Fed missed the mark in ensuring price stability for everyday Americans during and following the COVID-19 pandemic when inflation hit a 40-year high. Here's the thing. We had an administration that was working up for us. And then we had an election that allowed dummies to show us just how damn dumb they are. It is what it is. Now, we do have a new ad for the month of May for Tazisms. We're going to play that, and then we're going to get into some wisdom thoughts this week. No guest, just me and you. And we're going to pick apart some things, okay? Okay. Faites attention, s'il vous plaît.
Tazisms.com. Find what shows who you are. Go on and kiss the fish. We'll feel the mendacity. I'm an educated black man, Percy the Possum Pimp, living life on my own terms, with a rhythm in my step. Find your place at Tazisms.com. Let your true colors show who you are. Go on and kiss the fish, feel the groove. Taz and dance in the moves you prove. Navigate through the scene, living bold and living keen. Percy style, a sight to see with a cool philosophy. Find your place at Tazisms.com. Let your true colors show who you are. Go on and kiss the fish, feel the groove. Tazzy dance in the moves you prove. Tazisms.com. Let your true colors show who you are. Go on and kiss the fish, feel the groove.
All right. Do not forget, the promo code for this month is Sleepy Dawn, all caps. That gets you 20% off your purchase at checkout at tazisms.com. Now, there are a couple things that I feel like we need to address this week. We're going to start off with something that I've dubbed Jewish teachings. Before you get up in arms and get all up in your feelings, listen closely. And I'm very specific with my words. I don't want you hearing for a swift or semi-swift rebuttal. I want you to take the time to actually listen. Listen, Linda, listen. Okay. We'll do that. All right. So here we go.
So as a Jewish person, I have a superpower. If I want to shut you up, I'll just call you anti-Semitic. This is just one of the tactics, one of the lies, whatever you want to call it, that I was taught during my most impressionable years. And it's exactly why so many Jewish people have blinders on when it comes to Israel. So let's get into some of the narratives that I was fed. So I was taught that there's no such thing as Palestinians, that they're just Arabs. So they can basically live anywhere. That's why you hear things like, why can't Egypt take them? Or why can't Jordan take them? Because we were taught Palestinians don't exist. We were taught that Palestinian children were training from a young age to kill Jewish people. That Arabs are genetically violent, and that we're taught that Israel is under constant threat. And that the IDF, which is of course the most moral army in the world, must kill because you can't make peace with people who want you dead. So we were taught if anyone criticizes Israel or the Jewish people, that we must immediately label them anti-Semitic because it silences people and it's meant to immediately shut down the conversation. That's the ultimate goal. So we were taught that Israel, it's our homeland. Even if I've never visited, it's mine. That the land belongs to me and that we're the chosen people. We were taught that Jewish people must marry Jewish to preserve our blood. This was the one narrative that my parents pushed before I even started dating. It was non-negotiable. So these are just a few of the things that I've been taught as a Jewish person growing up in a Zionist household. Not just taught, but fully indoctrinated to believe. And I'll continue to unpack these lies, and I hope it will get some people to start questioning the things that they were taught. As always, thank you so much for listening.
The amount of courage and bravery that this individual has is beyond incredible. To come out with this information, so much love, and I just want to give him the biggest hug. God bless Free Palestine.
There is a reason why when the vast majority of people think about someone being Jewish, they think about someone being white-bodied. Jewish is an ethno-religion. You can be ethnically Jewish or you can be religiously Jewish. This is also why Zionists can be so frustrating to deal with. Remember the earlier days of the genocide on Palestinian people this time around. The amount of Jewish people who would act as if they were under attack. I'm so afraid to leave my condo. I'm so afraid to leave my house while they're outside of their houses. And nobody paid attention. Well, an overwhelming amount of people were not vocal about paying attention to the hypocrisy in that, to the lies. I still remember the people in Israel that were going to gas stations or just going outside and pretending to be bombed for content. The fact that the IDF was able to just put pretty people in uniforms and give them access to the internet and social media, and people were falling for it. The fact that in a country where English is not the main language, because they have all these assimilation camps. There's a whole series that I have on it on YouTube at TazJ77. Feel free to go look at it. It tells you, how they have this boot camp to get you assimilated into the culture that they're grown up and told is their cult. Like, you would think if you're going to your motherland, you don't have culture to learn. You've been living under that culture. But I digress. But there are boxes in English, textbooks in English. Going, see, look, they're teaching them how to kill us. Kill the vast majority of y'all that are coming up out of New York and moving over there. The fact that you are calling people in your homeland, your motherland, settlers, should be enough to let you know that that's not where you belong. The fact that we have whitewashed Jewish history so much that even the racist of the racists look at protecting Zionist as protecting whiteness is a problem. Because I hope you know, essentially, that's what they're doing. Every time that they're like, oh, yeah, that's anti Semitic, they're trying to protect whiteness. Because they love to weaponize the Holocaust as an all out war on white people. This is why they got upset with Whoopi Goldberg saying it was white on white crime. If you're going to whitewash it, then call it what it was, white on white crime, because you're not talking about the melanated that you exterminated. You don't like to talk about the extended racism that occurred. So you separate the iconic picture of the gloved black fist, of that moment at the Olympics. But you don't think about and you don't talk about the fact that it took place at the same time. If they're telling you that the epitome of humanity is blonde haired and blue eyed, and if they're going to write us out of the trauma and the death, then we should invoke what they do to us all the time. Start reminding them how many black folks were maimed and died for the sake of saving them. If we are never supposed to forget the Holocaust, and they can play victim every single time, and they cannot acknowledge their more melanated counterparts, start saying that they are anti-American when they're displaying their racism and white supremacy towards you. Because if we're all American and we all bleed red, then that means being discriminatory against any of us is anti-American, and that is against their core beliefs. Correct? Correct. And when people say it's not that serious, we don't have to point it out. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Not just for the edification of those that are indoctrinated into overt and covert narcissistic white supremacy and racism since before they even inch out of the womb. Before instances like we're all beginning to witness when it came to a roast greenlit by a black man. Now, before I get into the clip that I believe is the most honest clip in its entirety from said event, I also want to point out how easily and willfully coon-tastic coalition black men are willing to put Black women in harm's way. Not just for, see, some people are trying to downplay certain things as, oh, well, they did it for the joke. No, this goes beyond a joke. The narcissistic understand the power of words and what is left behind in people's minds. They understand the picture that is painted. They understand the reputation that is cultivated by public exchanges. That's why far too often Black women are chastised when we are forced to use the public sphere as a realm of protection, as a proverbial sprinkling the salt around us in a circle. But what do we learn? And Cat Williams graced the podcast of one Mr. Shannon Sharp. That yes, Mr. Williams will tell us an amazing joke, but never a lie. He will do a lot of things, but not sell his soul. That one can be a household name in the proper communities and be comfortable and not have to forget who they are and where they are meant to be. Now, this one's a bit long, so if you need to move around or if you're at work, headphones on, volume up. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Kat.
I'm surprised they invited me. That's how little star power you have. They had to start inviting your enemies. I said, I hate him. They said, come anyway. Very humble of me to be at your goat roast tonight, Kevin. I've won an Emmy Award, but this is gonna be my best acting tonight as I pretend like you are a goat. For the people at home, you're wondering, why is the Cat Man doing this? For the money, bitch. This is my Riyadh Comedy Festival. Only one with a soul. Kevin, you're gonna hear some things tonight that you're not familiar with. Those things are called punchlines. Is this dais the best that the industry could put together for dear old Kev? I'm not sure if the Illuminati is real or if this is the junior varsity version, but for those of you just joining us, Kevin and I have beef, and I'll tell you why. Because privately, this motherfucker stole everything from me. Before he saw my act, he was a 6'3" white man. I tried to tell y'all that Kevin Hart was a plant. Because I keep burying him, he keeps springing back the fuck up. Just like a plant. Yes, I said some things I'd like to take back. Some things I said were misunderstood. I did say that Kevin was a Hollywood puppet, and I want to explain that. Because it might not be what you think. I meant that the head of Netflix literally has his whole hand up Kevin's ass and can make him do anything. Kevin only has one rule in his movies: no N-word. And that N-word is no. He's never fucking said it, never ever. Scary Movie 3, Ride Along, Night School, Get Hard. I turned down all of them. because I was not comfortable being a coon. Went right behind me for the same price. If you're going to see a Kevin Hart movie, do yourself a favor, see it in a black theater so you can hear words like, I want my motherfucking money back. And I want my money back too. Or this is some bullshit, I want my money back. Even The Rock can't save your ass. Kevin and The Rock have what you call a bromance. That's when two actors secretly fuck the shit out of each other. But seriously, how can you not love Kevin? Only two people have done that. Me and his father. Kevin once said if his son was gay, he would take a dollhouse and hit him over the head with it, which is arguably the gayest way to abuse a child. But you cannot cancel Kevin Hart. You just can't do it. He's made of Teflon. They tried to cancel him for being homophobic, and I don't get it. I'm saying the guy who's obsessed with shopping sprees and fitness, always surrounded by 10 dudes and Chelsea Handler and oiled up half Samoan bodybuilders and a vegan restaurant and bought yoga pants. You think that guy is homophobic? That guy is a fairy, bitch. He is not. That's the gayest man I ever met. You slay, queen. You do that. They tried to cancel Kevin for the Diddy parties. They hurled allegations at him. But thanks to all the baby oil, the charges didn't stick. Kevin famously was at a brunch. Kevin was at a bunch of Diddy parties, but in his defense, it was only because Diddy thought he was 10. Kevin even hosted a record release party for P. Diddy. There was a record number of releases. On the bed, in the pool, on the floor, everywhere but the hose. But I want to be clear. Just because Kevin went to Diddy parties does not mean he did something wrong. The fact that he gets all quiet when you bring it up, that means he did something wrong. Yet people give him awards. Kevin, I have an idea for a movie where you travel back in time and Mark Twain takes his motherfucking award back and calls you the N-word. Now that's a good movie, so I know you'll pass on it. All right, listen. I could go on all night hating on Kevin Hart. I have perfected it. But at some point, you've got to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I really want to have beef with the rabbit Snowball from The Secret Life of Pets 2? Yes, I do, Kevin. Yes, I do. Motherfucker wouldn't even play a black rabbit. Can you imagine the coonery? I'm out. Good night, Inglewood. Thank y'all so much.
Whoa. Wait, cat, wait. Hold on. Just give me 1 fucking minute. Me and this man have been at odds for years on years. You coming out here, quite the fucking surprise. But cat, I can sit and I can watch you, I can laugh, because I'm a fucking fan first, okay? I'm a fan first. Cat, we have an opportunity in real time, this is live television, to put our fucking beef behind us. I am offering you an olive branch of peace. I want to be a brother. I want to be a friend. Cat, I want to move on. Can we move on, man? Can we move on? Cat Williams, one time.
Lizette said it best as the clip was playing. And yes, Smalls, I know I'm killing you with the clip, but it had to go and it had to be unedited for people to get it. So I'll take the licks on that one. Look at who was laughing. Look at who was genuinely laughing and who wasn't. He told not one lie. He told not one lie, but it was funny. That is comedy. Social commentary and telling the truth about yourself, telling the truth about others, but doing it in a way that is humorous. The vast majority of that roast was just pure, unadulterated racism. Cheryl Underwood had her deceased by suicide husband brought up. That man has been deceased for 30 years, I believe. She was called a Babadook. And just like we saw with Meg Thee Stallion and many others, as a dark skinned black woman, she got up and she protected everybody in the room. She was like, oh, it's roasting. It's okay. It's not okay. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this specifically to dark skinned black women. We don't have to. We don't have to. We don't have to protect them. We don't have to take just anything from them. Okay? It takes more than complexion for somebody to be beautiful. Let me repeat that. It takes more than complexion for somebody to be beautiful. And also, Cat was extremely, extremely nice. But that handshake at the end, that Avondale, Ohio was about to come out of him. But I digress. But I also want to say this. Black men mostly, but all men, all male presenting individuals who are self proclaimed protectors. You are not a protector if people need to be protected from you, especially those that you say that you're protecting. Because some of you all are just as disrespectful based upon complexion to others and you don't realize it. Number one. Number two, y'all will let things slide when it comes to a black woman that you wouldn't let slide if it was said about you, to you, or if the woman was curvier or lighter. Get uncomfortable. I don't care. You know what I'm saying is true. You cannot fight it back. And if you start kicking, clawing, and trying to fight it, we know you're guilty. Sometimes you need to listen to take things in instead of trying to barely hear for a rebuttal to escape accountability. Some of y'all out here clamoring to protect how the world sees you while you're trying to place a black woman in a bad light. Some of y'all out here going, oh, yeah, I'm a protector. I'm a protector. But black women need to be protected from you. Some of y'all ain't got a damn degree, but you think you know everything. You want to be heard, you want to be respected, but you're taking the voice of Black women. You don't have a problem with Black women being a target as long as you're not the target. As long as nobody sees you in a negative light, as long as people see you as the hero, as the knight in shining armor. Because I want y'all to remember that Kevin Hart even cheated on his preference. Well, his wealthy man preference. Because his first wife, dark skinned Black woman. His daughter, dark skinned Black woman. But he sat there and watched as people wide mouth cackled at Black women. He made sure to stand up and give rebuttals if the block got too hot for him. But he didn't stand in the way. He didn't protect not a damn woman. Looking around the room, you could tell who was in on how the event was going to go and who wasn't. And that's why I brought up Regina. You could tell by her face, she was not told the truth about what she was walking into. Neither was Cheryl. They were not told what they would be walking into. They were told one thing, and you can tell by their face, and what happened was something else. And far too often, that is the story of Black women. We're the ones that are told, watch what you say and watch what you do, because they're going to pay attention to you. They're going to remember what you said. They're going to focus on your reaction. We are consistently told to put a cap on our emotions. It's wrong. It's either too aggressive, too sensitive, too all of these things. And the amount of people who get upset at specifically dark-skinned Black women for showing anger, for showing hurt, for showing angst. It's like, how dare you let me know that I hurt you? How dare you let me know that I should be held accountable? Because they look at us as we should just take any and everything. And on top of that, they will reduce us down to our genitalia. People can't respect us for our charisma. People can't want to have a conversation with us because of our intellect. People can't like our personalities. People can't like the way we cook. No, it always boils down to if they want to be around a dark-skinned Black woman, it's got to be because they want to boinky boinky us. And they will tell us this to our face. They'll go, oh, no, they don't like you like that. They just want to screw you, girl. They just want to screw you. That's all they want. Years ago, quite a while, I refused. I mean, I completely shut down. And I refused to let anybody know of anything that made me happy, sad, anything. And from time to time, I still do that as a defense mechanism where I will just shut down around certain people, just become a blank slate, unreadable. And it was because I got excited talking to a group of people my same age, just coming into my preteen days. We're talking about the arts, dancing, writing, all these things. And I was just excited to have somebody to talk to that shared those interests. Unprovoked, this little white girl turned around and looked at me. She said, you remind me one of my favorite things. And I was like, okay, what? She said a black Labrador. Her black Labrador, to be specific. Immediately, the older black children around me didn't know what to say. I held it together. I didn't want her or anybody else to see me upset or cry. The men around me wanted me to accept it because I'm going to hear it so many times. The women around me tried to make a light of it. Give me these little sayings to say to myself, reminding me not to speak up, that I don't have that luxury. That I was on the other side of the paper bag test, which meant I don't have a voice. And I say all of this to tie it up in a bow. We hear so much about the plight of black men, and I'm not taking away from it, but I think black men have forgotten that they keep erasing us. Because when we talk about chattel slavery, when we talk about any strife, any downtroddenness in the history of the black diaspora, we don't bring up what black women have had to endure. In the infamous words of Ginger Rogers, and as I know, she's not a black woman, but it still reigns true. We have to do everything in heels and in reverse. We have to do it with grace. We have to carry you even when you won't carry us. We have to show respect and admiration for you even when you don't for us. We have to navigate a world that believes that it is the status quo to be disrespectful to us. And we're told, stand up for yourself. But when we stand up for ourselves, it's never right. Too masculine when we stand up for ourselves, too loud, too emotional, use too many words, not enough words, didn't use the right tone. The tone was too meager. They don't understand. Oh, it was too rough. Well, write them a letter. Oh, well, you put in the letter things that made them uncomfortable or they believe that they didn't do. So they're just going to ignore it and you just gonna have to deal with it. Well, you just gonna have to take any man or any woman because you should just be happy with a warm breathing body because at least they're gonna be home eventually. And the biggest thing that causes the most hurt is that because of all the inconsistencies, we are that one demographic in society that's forced to work on every aspect of ourselves every single day. So we tend to get better at a whole lot of different things. And then that's when everybody wants to come and hold their hand out or reach into our buckets and bushels of harvest and take. They want to be in close proximity to us because of the benefits. And if you think no, or I would be there and be supportive, I want you to think about something. When have you seen, because and what I'm about to say does go across multiple categories of women, okay? I recognize that. But when we talk about abuse or people leaving certain situations and it being so hard, it's because people can cry out in plain sight. People can be abused in plain sight and you will still ignore it. How often have you watched somebody say in front of you to a black woman, oh, if you don't like that, then I'll just stop doing it altogether. And then your response is to the man, to the abuse. Well, what do you like? How can I help you? I'll get that for you. Even if you're not trying to flirt, you think that you're helping the situation and you're not. You didn't turn to the target of the disdain, you turned to the targeter. How often have you thought, oh, it's just a joke, or it was just this, it was just that? It's not that serious. But you're quiet. And somebody thinks that chalk children is a racial slur. How often have you wondered, how'd she get with them? You see what she looked like, and the only thing that's wrong with her is the depths of the melanin in her skin. That's what you see as the issue. And yes, it expands past just the color of things because it also goes into what I call the bodyism. And what do I mean? If you have the right curves in the right places, they'll make excuses for you. You can't be corrected either. There's a woman right now that is currently her husband's mistress. Confused? I bet you are. And what do I mean by that? While he's out here chasing the body type, the complexion, and the non nagging personality, because he's going to sink all of the pleasantries, all of the goodness into somebody else, and then come home worn out, taxed, and only thinking of himself like, ugh, I got to deal with her emotions. Ugh, I got to be there for her now. Ugh, she gonna want me to take that trash out. Ugh, I'm gonna have to do this. And he's going to turn his wife, his significant other, into his mistress, because when that itch hits him at 2 o'clock in the morning, she gonna be the one that's laying there. When she goes, ooh, I think Charlene is taking some liberties that she shouldn't be taking with you. And you gonna watch him get upset. He's gonna defend Charlene like he took vows to her. Because at the end of the day, it might be the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. But too many of y'all still hold the adage deep, deep, deep in your spirit that the darker the berry, the more the abuse. Wednesdays are for wisdom. Sometimes we get our wisdom through a guest. Sometimes we get our wisdom through just chit chatting with one another about what is going on. What the? Now, with that being said, as we round things out, one, if you're in the Tazisms Discord, you will notice there is a new area for you to traipse around in. It's called the Storytime area. That is where I will be dropping links to different stories that I have, and where you can put in your ideas. If you are creative and you have stories that you would like to share, you can put in there as well. Um, Also, do not forget at tazisms.com, this month's promo code is Sleepy Don, you know, like Donald the Skunk, sitting president. All caps, that gives you 20% off at checkout. Over on Substack, there is the history of voting rights and aka voter suppression. 1700s to 1800s is up today. Tomorrow, I will post 1900s. Kind of break it down a little bit and go through there. Yes, Annabelle, nice little story time over there. And get that popping, get it popping, get it popping, get it popping. Over on Patreon, I have a breakdown regarding white women and the default damsel in distress. It's in video form. Don't have to, do too much reading. If you are in the Ohio area and would like to join me, Desiree Stevens and Kukai, aka Royal Star Mastery on TikTok, for the Distribute the Medicine educational conference the first weekend in June. Uh, you can visit joineager.com, sign up there. To make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Hmm. So, thank you, DJ. Now, I want you to keep in mind, anytime I speak on anything outside of history, the obvious, but giving a perspective, giving advice, I give things according to what I have lived. It's not absolute. Like I said, around here we learn together. But now more than ever, we have to take the time to take a moment and stop and really listen to one another. Stop being so quick to cut each other off and believe that we know best or we know more. Um, and having a conversation with two of my children in the past 24 hours on a significant other of one of my children. I used to take a lot of flack from people who would joke or question me or call me a bad parent because I would literally sit down and let my children teach me things. If they were excited, their hobby or something they learned at school, yes, I would sit down. I don't know everything. We don't always have the same interest. And I don't believe that age makes me more knowledgeable, more wise, or anything than anybody else. When they say, well, living life gives you wisdom. Yeah, experiences. I cannot claim to be wise in all things when I have not experienced all things. And there are people many years younger than me that have lived multiple lifetimes that I have not even come close to. But also, keep in mind, do not put your lived experience into every situation because sometimes we put ourselves in situations and it muddies up the water to the point where we can't see what we truly need to see. Where it was clear, where we could see through the waters, but we muddied it ourselves. Other than the seahorse, what other animals are we looking for? We don't have the duck collection. And I do love giraffes. Those are the main ones right now. But as far as sending the politicians, I think seahorses. Seahorses and the, what do you call it? Sea monkeys. Annabelle. So, yeah. So keep that in mind. Far too often, sometimes we people a bit too much. Turtles are always needed, especially if they're named after famous painters, Annabelle. Um, so yeah. So just keep those little things in mind. Now, I do know that there are 3 orders on the Teespring site. It's a Tazism site because it's drop shipped. That are delayed. I have been working with them to try to figure out what the halibut is going on and when things can go through. We do have to remember we are still in a tariff war. And some things are on pause because some things have not gotten through certain areas of transport. So, working on it. Working on it. So. Sure. Hopefully, if you have time, you will peruse the parameters of my little link tree. Hopefully, there will be something that tickles your fancy. And that will be beneficial to you. Also, there is a hantavirus update. You can check that out on TikTok at TazJ15 or on YouTube at TazJ77. There is an Epstein Maxwell Files update. And I will drop an Erica Kirk update by the end of the night tonight. The Angry V Wasp Tales is up on YouTube at TazJ77. So there's that. Yeah. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I'm still working on getting a clear answer as to why they keep removing Harley's face off of things. I've tried animating it. I've tried artsying it up. I've got one more idea regarding it, and I'm going to try it again tonight and see if it lasts until the morning. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get that up, DJ. Hopefully. So as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Do not forget. I am suspended from going live on TikTok until the 15th at 2:30. So yeah. Yeah, it's hold on. So I can let me give you the correct title of it. Mondays and Wednesdays are like my longest days. Let's see. Oh, yep. It's called Angry and the Wasp, a Mother's Day chat. But yeah, it's Angry and the Wasp, a Mother's Day chat. have an idea instead of mailing shirts. What's that, Annabelle? Because I mean, I'm not the one that mails them; they're drop shipped. Oh. Yeah, anybody who did not see that live, you're gonna get a tickle out of it. You're gonna get a tickle. Oh, and do not forget, tomorrow is Think About It Thursday, where you can call in. We're gonna limit the calling in to the second half of the show. Why not mail an iron on? Then the person can have their own size. Throwing furniture. So, oh, no problem. Man, Jay, you don't have to apologize. I on YouTube, DJ at my YouTube at TazJ77. I realize I am having to replace a lot of stuff, things that were damaged, fortunately, intentionally by some people. So I just have to see what I can do. It would be cheaper for everyone else, yes, to send an iron on. It's just a matter of me getting the equipment to make the iron on. So yeah. So we shall see. We shall see. Let's not forget, I'm still in the process of fixing my other computer to get more up and running. I still don't have all of my equipment. I don't have my full camera, my full lights, my larger mic, everything to go along with that. So yeah, Cricket. Yeah, pretty much. So we will slowly but surely get things back on track. Yeah. As always, thank you for joining me here for the Taz Effect Daily News and a way you did not know you can use. But make sure you peruse all the parameters of the Discord. And if you have not checked out an open discussion of mine or a class, why not? Go to the link tree, check it out. So thank you, Mrs. Lyles. So, till tomorrow. And as Twin and I say, be good or be good at it.